Welcome back. This is the Scaling Secrets podcast, and we're here with Mr. Mark Hodgson, and it is our time to shine. Mark has a book called Time to Shine that explains what we need to do, be, and build to be successful. And Mark is all about helping you unlock your inner talents to create the successful and meaningful life that you crave. Mark is a natural disruptor. He helps executives, entrepreneurs, and business owners build their professional brand and influence, and he is an expert in leading change. So, Mr. Mark, how the heck are you?
Hey Robert, I'm awesome. I'm coming to you from sunny Sydney in Australia, and life is good.
I'm glad to hear it. You're from sunny Australia, and I'm here in sunny California. We're a couple of t-shirt guys. And so, what is your current focus and passion? What gets you excited to jump out of bed in the morning?
So it's interesting, Robert. The world's in an interesting place in lots of ways. It's a very challenging place, but interesting. I've had a very good year helping the people who I work with is typically what I call smart professionals. Might be working themselves, might be working for organisations. Many are in that sort of scaling and sort of leadership phase of businesses, both great and small. And what I'm seeing is that I think there's amongst all that turbulence and ambiguity that's in the world right now, I think there's an increased desire for, and people are searching for something to help them find stability to express themselves and show up as the best possible versions of themselves, such that they're able to be successful in multiple terms. I love that. I've been doing that after a corporate career. I've been doing that. I've been running my own consultancy, helping people do that for close to 13, 14 years now. And I guess what I'm getting out of bed and loving is that I love helping people to unlock their full potential. And I say that there's a lot of requirement for that now, and it's such a gift for me to be able to help people to do that. And I think I'd like to say, without being too sort of bragging, I think it's my superpower. I'm very good at it. It's such a lovely thing to be able to do, to really help people to get out of their own way sometimes and see what they can be, and as I say, leverage that in terms of whatever success looks like, dollar growth, increased confidence, real clarity around where they're trying to go to. So that's what gets me out of bed.
Wonderful. And moderate bragging is totally okay. They call it the humble brag, where it is in service of getting the word out and getting to these people who need to increase themselves and who need to discover that full potential. And so what do you think holds people back these days? Like, people sometimes lack the confidence or lack the skill or lack the discipline. And why is that? Why can't people be these people that they want to or need to be?
There's a very multi-layered question. You touch on a few areas of that, Robert. I think one is, and perhaps ironically, I think I see a lot of what I would call typically middle-aged professionals. So most of the people I'm working with, they're not in their 20s and 30s. They're probably in their 40s and 50s. And what I'm seeing is people who, from the outside, you would say they're very accomplished, very successful, got great resumes, track records of success, but they are actually suffering from confidence. I think there's a lot of self-doubt around, for a variety of reasons, massive change, obviously the pandemic, technology challenges, and just generally that sense of a world kind of wobbling in lots of ways. And I think and a lot of people are feeling stuck and overwhelmed. So there is that self-confidence piece. And one of the answers to that, so how do we help people to build to gain or regain confidence? I think a lot of that is about helping people to get clarity on where they're trying to get to. And for many of us, that we need to find a new destination to move towards, because perhaps some of the old ones don't exist anymore, although perhaps they've already achieved them. So for a lot of people, it's helping them to get clarity on where they want to go to, then helping people to take the basic steps to get moving and start to move towards them. One of the things I talk about a lot is this idea that momentum precedes clarity. So we need to start moving towards a new thing, and we know roughly what it is probably, but once we start moving towards it, rather than endlessly going, it could be this and it could be that and it could be the other thing, once we actually start to move towards that thing, we start to get clarity. So our clarity becomes, it's almost like something coming into focus, if you like. It's very out of focus, and it starts to become more into focus as we move more and more and more. And what goes hand in hand with that increased clarity is increased confidence. Once we show up with clarity and confidence, as you know, and ultimately, if we can get to that point where we finally turn our confidence into real conviction, this I believe. I know where I want to go. I know how I can help people. I know how to create value. I know how I want to build this business. I know how to scale this business. That's very empowering for the individual, but it's also very attractive to others. So yes, so a lack of confidence, a lack of clarity, what I see a lot of, and I do a lot of work, as I say, helping people to. It's interesting. You're kind of crossing the threshold. People. It's a lot. A lot of the work I do is helping people get over the bump, if that makes sense, from doubt, fear, stuckness, not sure, and you get them over the bump, and it's a big thing to get over. Once you're on the other side of that, starting to move forward, starting to do new things, starting to, as I say, get that clarity, starting to make new relationships, new connections, new opportunities coming to the world, then they're off. But a lot of people get stuck on that hump, if you like, of moving into the new. So yeah, that's what I'm seeing a lot of.
Okay, and being stuck is no fun, and so we're here to hear about what you have going on and what you've accomplished, and hear some stories. So that way, ideally, if someone's watching or listening, they can get a little bit of a taste of what it's like to get over that bump, and then be encouraged and motivated to go and check you out and what you have going on. And so, as you were saying that, what formed in my mind, the word picture was sort of a timeline, right? And
Yeah.
in the close area of the timeline was like just doing some activity, right? Taking some actions so that way you can get that clarity and you can know what you want, but it's based in reality. So there's the clarity, and then beyond clarity is the confidence, because what you kind of done is paying off somewhat, and then even beyond that is conviction, when you can then begin to sort of inspire and motivate others and get other people on board in your team. And so this whole process is about transformation and before and after. And so, do you have a fun story to share with us sort of about this before and after process? Do you have someone that you've helped, or a company that you've assisted to kind of get over this bump, as you call it?
I've got a few of them. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think off the top of my head of a really good example. Of someone. So I'll give you. I got up. I'll give an example. It's not a scaling story, but it's just top of mind, because I got a lovely note from one of my clients the other day, who's a long-term healthcare professional, and she wrote me a note. She said, "Mark, you'd be so proud of me. I just got this new job offer, and I turned it down." And that's because the reason that's inspiring is because she'd spent 20 something years working as an employed healthcare professional, and she decided at the end of 2022 to leave that to set up her own consultancy practice, and she's doing that. I've been helping to do that, really clear on what she wants to do, and if you like, redesigning her life along the lines of what work she wanted to do, how much time she wanted to spend doing other things that weren't work, so social stuff, community stuff, travel, and we've been working together, giving her real clarity on all those things, obsessing on getting her more productive, obsessing on increasing pricing, obsessing on thinking about different ways of delivering what she does. So, for example, she now does online delivery, virtual delivery, as well as sort of in rooms kind of consultancy. And here we are, towards 9 months later. She's making good money, and she's got that, what you would call that what I would call an entrepreneurial mindset now, having been worked for the man, as it were, forever. She's now doing her own thing. So when a big job offer comes back to go back into where she was and work there, she said, "No, not interested. That's not my destination." Really clear. My destination now is to keep on doing what I'm doing, maybe bring other people, and maybe scale what she's doing. And that's a really nice example of clarity. So she's pumped, and going back to the point, she's confident, she's got conviction, she's on a new journey, she's on a new chapter. So she's come over that bump, and now her future, which could have looked very different, now looks it's very much in her control, and she's excited about it. So that's one example of someone who's taking action to get over that bump, and then the change on the other side of the bump. But there's heaps of others.
Wonderful. And so something that you kind of mentioned as we began speaking here was that some of these people are 40s and 50s, and they're letting go of this idea that you have to be married with a company for life. As you said, the pandemic sort of showed that some of us are expendable, and then with the whole miracle of remote work and Zoom and everything else and the cloud, that we, if we don't like our job or career and we can kind of adapt to this entrepreneurial mindset, then we have all these possibilities in front of us. And so what do you think helped your clients to get into this entrepreneurial mindset? Was it a matter of being accountable to you, figuring out goals, or like being dedicated, better habits, or all the above, or just how does someone get to this clarity place?
Yeah, look, I think it's all of the above. For people, if for people who are leaving corporate to set up their own piece, the biggest switch they need to make is to understand, coming into your bank account at the don't get a paycheck coming into your bank account at the end of every month. So that changes everything. That changes how you spend your time. That changes about your focus on revenue generation, revenue generating opportunities, pricing, a whole lot of things. So that's a big mindset shift, and that's one of the I think the really important things that people need to know. But beyond that, that's a specific. Beyond that, I think at a higher level, I think there are a lot of people who are looking for something different, who are looking to reinvent themselves and test themselves in a way to find out what's possible for them. I've got a lovely. Got my own mentor. Obviously, I do a lot of executive mentoring, and I got my own. I've got several mentors, and one of them's a real straight shooting guy. He's about 10 years older than me, and every so often he metaphorically sort of prods me in the chest in a good way. And we all need it. It's, Mark, he says you're successful, but you're not successful enough. You should be doing more. And he challenges me to. He says, Mark, you need to fully confront your total potential. Fully confront your total potential, and I love that. So there's some things I'm doing in 2024 around that, but also it's kind of a passed on things. That's very much the I guess the mindset and the promise, if you like, I love to explore with the people I work with, because I think that there's a lot of the world, there's habit, there's convention, there's conformity. The pandemic especially, there's a lot of forces that are saying, stay small, be a victim, wait for the government will look after you, or wait to be looked after by your organisation. And you kind of, but I think that there's a lot of people, I don't want that. I want to be fully self-expressed. I want to find what I can do. I want to start a 6, 7, 8, 9-figure business. Why not? Why can't I do that? Or if I think I can, I want to explore it. And even if I fail, I want to try failing, as opposed to stay in that safe place of, I've just got a good job. I work for the government. It's secure. Why would I risk all that? That little voice that keeps us small. So I think there's a lot of people looking for the bigger opportunity, and not just in dollar terms. Dollars are obviously one metric of success. Of course, they're one currency of success, but I think people are looking for a lot of other things in terms of purpose, in terms of meaning, and also in that terms of progression and doing different things as opposed to doing the same thing all the time. And we talked about the pandemic. It's interesting, isn't it, how many people, I think, when basically the world closed down for 3 months, 6 months, a year, whatever. And on the other side of that, a lot of people they re-examined their life and said, you know what, I don't want to do that anymore. That's even not just the commute aspect. I don't want to just go into the same office with the same people doing the same profession. I want to explore what the next chapter is and the next chapter is. And it's interesting. I'm in the process of writing my second book, and it's called Second Half Hero. And it's that whole thing about what does my second chapter look like? And by the way, you can have multiple second halves. But I think as human beings, we've got this natural sense of wanting to progress and grow. And if we do the same thing for too long, like you say, when I left university, I'm 58. When I left university, there was that sense you might have 2 or 3 jobs, in a 35-year career. And now, of course, we get this, portfolio career thing where people might have 20, 30 different roles on different sides of the employment, different modes of employment. And life's very different. Opportunities very different, but people remain the same, and a lot of people struggle. I mean, I have a lot of conviction and confidence around this. I spend a lot of time working out how this all works and helping others to do the same. But I do know a lot of people, like we said, struggle with confidence. They're not quite sure. And they look. And I think one of the key things, Robert, that maybe is a key principle to offer to people as a value one is people wait for the perfect answer or for the perfect time before they want to do something. And guess what? Never comes. There is never a perfect time. You will never have the perfect plan, and you kind of you need to just take action, not crazy, reckless action, but you need to keep moving. Understand you might fail occasionally. You might fail often, which is what I love about the American mindset is very different to a lot of other mindsets. I think you guys are much better with the idea of failing to succeed ultimately. A lot of other cultures, the minute you fail, that's it, you're a failure. Go to something safe. And we're saying no, let's iterate, let's keep moving forwards. But as human beings, we've got to need a sense of growing, sense of what we need to do to succeed. And I think a lot of people are looking for that. But as I say, a lot of people are very fearful of it and they wait for the perfect moment. Piece of advice, don't wait for the perfect moment. It ain't happening. It will never happen. You will never have the perfect time, the perfect plan, and you will never do things without risk either. So when you understand those things, buy into them. Don't be crazy brave. I'm not advocating that, but when you understand that and take action, I can guarantee that 19 out of 20 times you'll be the better for it sooner or later. Maybe not immediately, but sooner or later you'll be better for taking action as opposed to staying in a so-called safe place, being frustrated or stuck or kind of meh.
So you're saying that that the timing is never quite right, and
Yeah.
that's reassuring because that's the case for all of us. And if you think that having that appointment or the have all these other responsibilities that you have to sort of juggle, well, that's how it is these days, right? It's all about multitasking, and you're not unique in that respect, but that's okay because that means that we're all in this together, and we need to just figure it out and don't look for the flimsiest of excuses to not take action. Just take action and see what happens. And so, when you deal with all these people, right, and kind of many of them can benefit from this entrepreneurial mindset because they have to maybe unlearn some of these sort of employee mindsets. What
Yeah.
do you see as far as the success factors? Like, what are the do's and don'ts that some people don't have, but the ones that maybe not at first succeed, but ones that eventually succeed? What success factors do they have that the others are missing?
Can I answer? Let me answer that because that's a massive question. Let me answer. Let me very quickly. Let me spend 2 minutes taking you through. I got a thing called my momentum roadmap. 7 points. Okay, 7 things I think you need to do, and I think on the way of describing this, I think it will cover off a lot of the points you were trying to get to, you mentioned there. So the first thing we need to do to fundamentally get to a place of momentum. Okay, let me define momentum. Let me find a destination before I go through the steps to get there. I define momentum as when you're business momentum, life momentum. You're moving. I see you're moving forwards. What that means is in life, stuff's coming across your desk, opportunities, connections, investment opportunities, clients. There's stuff coming towards you, and you're moving into that. And so there's opportunities, and you have the opportunities are coming across your desk, and you have the confidence and the capabilities to grasp the ones you choose to grasp. I think that's what momentum looks like. That's what movement, that's where you're trying to get to. And if you think about it, momentum is defined there. The opposite of that is stuck. Stuck, stopped, stalled, nothing happening, or same old, okay, which is where a lot of people are. But we want to get that point of momentum. So how do you get there? 6 things you need to do. First one is agency. Take agency. Take responsibility for your world and your life. Don't wait on other people to sort it out. Take responsibility. Number 2, ambition. Reignite your ambition. I think a lot of us, it's funny, isn't it? When we're younger, or I don't know, when we're kids at school, we dream about ambition. I want to do this, I want to be an astronaut, I want to be a gazillionaire, whatever it is. A lot of us over time, we find our ambition becomes curtailed by life experience or circumstance or commitments. But I think, the second point is to reignite your ambition. So you get ambitious. So take agency, reignite your ambition. Number 3, courage. Be brave, take risks. Number 4, conditioning. Get in shape to show up. That's all about having a morning routine. Get up, get yourself in shape to play the game of life and business. I don't think it's ever been tougher to do life and business. The days when you could kind of, and maybe some of the billionaires can get away, I don't know, but the days when you can just go on binges and stay up all night and carry on and just think you can turn up and just roll up and be successful. I think that's just not true for most of us. So we need to be conditioned. Don't drink too much, don't smoke too much, don't eat too much, be disciplined about your self-care, have a morning routine. Number 5 is discipline. Do the work. I say a lot of very successful people, they're very good at creating an image that they don't actually work very hard, and it all kind of flows them. I think that's fundamentally not true. And almost every successful person I know and work with, they are very disciplined. They do the work. So don't think this is easy street. So that's number 5. 6 is about connection. Surround yourself with people who expect more of you and of themselves. So don't people who are into all this stuff. So people on your podcast, other people, the people who are invested in growth and learning and scaling and in opportunity. So surround yourself with good people. And I think when you do all those things, agency, ambition, courage, conditioning, discipline, and connection, ultimately I think you get to that point of momentum. If you're at that point of momentum, then the world's your oyster. So I think hopefully, to answer I hope that answers your question, Robert, because a lot of people aren't doing a lot of those things, and that's the difference. I think the most successful people I know are doing pretty much all of those things.
Wonderful. And that's a great list for us to think about. And that way we can kind of go through it and think like, okay, well, in what area am I lacking a little bit, or what have I neglected, or what have I really not thought about? And so this is wonderful to think about. And as far as your own personal evolution, Mark, do you have anything to share with us just about your maybe past struggles, or just, it's easy to say, well, here's this long list, but is there one item in the list where you yourself have really just, in the many decades that you've been at this, you really had to transform and overcome? Does anything come to mind as far as like your own personal growth?
Oh, for sure. I mean, and a great question. I mean, for many years, having left corporate, so I was a very successful corporate leader. And there's interesting when corporate life gives you a whole lot of stuff around you that you take that you as a successful corporate, you often complain about this or you complain about that. But when you take it all away, it's only then you realize how mollycoddled you are. You've got structures, you've got IT, you've got HR, you've got people who do your payroll. There's a whole lot of stuff that goes on that you just take for granted. Take all that away and you're on your own, and then you really realize that you can be very isolating, very lonely. You lack resources, you lack structures. So I spent many years struggling through that sort of, oh wow, and probably also thought the whole doing what I do, running your own consultancy leadership, would be easier than it is. It's really hard. I'm good at it now. I'm very successful now. The early years are hard. So if anyone thinks this stuff's easy, it's not. But there's no reason not to do it either, because it take us back to the agency point. But perhaps also another way of answering that is that those 2 points about ambition and courage, as I said, they don't answer those once and then it's done. It's not a binary. You have to keep coming back to So once you get to a certain level of success, okay, what's the next thing? What's the next stretch for you? So, ambition and courage. So, for example, I told you about I'm writing my next book, second half hero, for next year. Now, the easy option for that would be to self-publish that, because I've self-published before. That's straightforward, and I had to do that. But then I realized that to actually be published, inverted commas, properly, doesn't actually change the writing of the book, but it changes the process, and it changes the kudos and the potential on the other side of that. And I think I'm good enough. I think the book's good enough. I think it has the merit. It could become the next Atomic Habits or one of those big business books. Now, it probably won't, because that's just life. But I should shoot for that, and that's one of the decisions I'm going to shoot for that. I'm going to write a properly published book. Go through the processes around that. Do some speaking and some other pieces around that, some PR and so forth, because that has the ability to take me to the next level of my growth and my evolution. The point being, I don't need to do that. I can carry on doing what I'm doing. I'm already successful. I don't need to do that. And no one's going to, even if I just publish it myself, but it's great, your new book's amazing, well done, Mark, love it. But to me, that's just that's like continuous improvement. But the opportunity and the challenge for me, and I think for lots of people, continuous improvement is okay to a point, but we want step change. I was speaking about this to a friend yesterday, a client who's a professor of neuroscience, and he explained to me when he did a similar thing when he published a book. Said it was like the Mario Brothers in the Super Mario thing, where when Super Mario gets enough coins or whatever, he doesn't become like 10% or 20% bigger. He just goes like bang and becomes this like giant, like massive, like 300-foot tall Mario guy. And it's like that. And those are the kind of, so we're not looking for incremental increase. We're looking for explosive growth and everything that means. So, yeah, for me, coming back to your question, I think we need to keep asking those questions. You don't answer, you almost have to answer these questions every day. Who am I going to be today? How am I going to challenge myself? What am I going to do that's different? Because or is it all just last? Because you don't do what I do, and most of the people I work with don't want to do last year plus a bit stuff. They're not looking for incrementalism. We're looking for step change, growth, challenge, purposeful living. Creating a meaningful life, creating legacy. There's a whole lot of stuff around this, but you have to. So short answer, long answer to a short question. We have to keep asking and answering those questions. I think that's the fun. That's the challenge.
I love it. And you're giving us so much to think about, especially for this track of abandoning this employee path and then hopping on this entrepreneurship path and just trying to make sense of all of it. Like, what do they call it? 17 hats, with all the different things that you have to figure out. You have to figure out this you have to basically be your own HR department. You have to be your own payroll department. You have to maybe figure out Google Ads, or this with the website, or this with marketing. There's so much to do and so much to figure out. And there's just so many challenges in front of us as far as hiring, building a team, and then kind of solving problems along the way, and just all these stresses and struggles. And so what you're saying is that it does seem like a crazy pursuit to jump off on, and there are for sure a lot of downsides, but the upsides are just all these possibilities for growth. And if you're in a career, maybe you could hope for like your salary to slowly increase and get these raises. But when you're building a business, then the upside is basically unlimited. You can build a company and get it to whatever size that you want, as long as you do all of these hard things and do all this work and kind of take all of the curation with a grain of salt, when everyone else makes it look easy, because that gets attention. But people like you and me know that there is definitely some reality to figuring these things out, and you do have a choice, right? You don't have to be an entrepreneur. You can choose to give up. You can choose to say it's too hard, or you can rise to the occasion and say, the timing's not good and I have to figure this out and it's frustrating, but I'm going to pursue it and do it anyway. I'm not going to just self-publish my book this time. I'm going to go through all these other steps and take the bigger risk, because risks and failure and opportunity, they are a lot of fun, and it's something that we should be pursuing, especially if the pandemic or these past sort of career moves did not really satisfy us. As you said, the money is important and it's helpful to keep score, but also just these opportunities for growth and challenging ourselves and finding fulfillment. And so you've given us so much to think about here, Mark, as far as just where we need to go, what we need to do, and what we need to think about. And I want to make sure that our watchers and listeners of the show know where to go. If they've been bitten by the Mark Hodgson bug and they want to find out more about what you're about, my understanding is that you have some free gifts for us, so that way we know about your company and your books and about you as a person. Is that right?
Yeah, Robert, that's absolutely that's a great summary, by the way. So well done. Because as you can imagine, we're going to talk for half an hour, but I think we could talk for a day, right? Easily. Yeah. Thank you for summarising it. Look, there's a few things I'd love to make available to. What I'll do, I'm going to send all this through and go to the links around the podcast, and you'll be able to access all these on the page. I'm going to make available to all the listeners a free ebook version of my book, which is called Time to Shine: Unlocking Your Full Potential to Succeed in a Post-Pandemic World. That's written. It's a series of about 100 blogs, lots of different articles, really useful, great thing to dip into and out of. Give you more of the flavour of the things we've spoken about. We'll get a copy of that. Also, if you're looking about building your personal brand, because your personal brand, your thought leadership is an important part of this. So there's also a free assessment. It only takes you about 3 minutes, and then you'll get a free personal brand report, which is this bad boy, which is about 20 pages, and you'll get a score on the influence style. And there's five scores. It goes from asleep to agitated to active to amplified and awesome. So you'll find whether you're asleep or awesome and we'll do some free training to get you moving on that. And then lastly, I talked about that very quickly went through the momentum roadmap that I spoke about, that one for you, from agency to momentum. And there's a nice piece, that a little white paper that explains that in a little bit more detail. And then lastly, there's also another free resource, for anyone who's currently works for corporate and is potentially looking to leave corporate to set up on their own. I've got a really nice piece of thinking. It's called the Income Replacement Blueprint. It's about 20 pages. It gives you a plan to leave corporate and replace your salary in 12 to 24 months before you then go on to build your next thing. Because I know what a lot of people do is they never leave corporate because they're fearful of the income hit, or they leave corporate the wrong way and then they get themselves in trouble because they suddenly find they haven't got enough money. So this gives you a graduated, proven plan that I've worked with a lot of people on over a decade or more, and it gives you a plan to gradually how to get prepared to leave, to launch, to transition, and ultimately to stabilize on the other side of that when you've placed your salary, and then you can go off and do other things. So what I'll do is I'll put all of those resources in one place for you. We'll give a link to all of those that we'll put in the show notes, and then you can jump on all those. And then finally, if anyone wants to have a conversation about working with me directly, there'll also be an opportunity to book a free strategy session with me where we'll work out what your situation is, where you're trying to get to, and put in place a plan for you. So how's that? That's a big, what they call show bag over here. Big show bag of Mark stuff. How's that sound?
Yes, I love it. It's the show bag with the wow factor, the thud factor, and all the bases are covered, so that way, no matter where we are in the process, no matter the situation, we can figure out that clear path forward. And are there things to be figured out and problems to solve? Well, of course, but we need to have this strategy. We can't just leave it up to chance. Leaving things up to chance and sleepwalking through life, that's the 9-to-5 employee mindset. This is the entrepreneurial mindset where we need to take control of our destiny, and Mark is the man, the myth, the legend to help you get there. And so as we wind down and wrap up our conversation here, Mark, I would really like to hear from you as far as a quote or lesson that really helped you out. That way we can put a button on this thing and leave people feeling motivated and inspired and really good. So does anything come to mind, either as far as a specific quote or just a general helpful lesson that you think you could not do without?
I'm going to give you two. You asked me one. I'm going to give you two. The first one is for anyone on here, because we're talking about scaling a business, which means working with people. And the first thing I'd really say to people is to understand that leadership is a privilege. And my favorite quote around leadership is the role of a leader is to bring out the greatness in others. So you can take that, if you put that in your head, take that to the bank. I think that will stand you in very good stead. And the second one, which touches on your wrap up there, Robert, is this, and I say this often, hope is a beautiful quality, but it's a terrible strategy. Yeah. Be hopeful for sure, but have a plan, and all the resources we've talked about, all of the thinking, the mindset, and the discipline and so forth is so germane to this conversation. By all means, go for the stars, shoot for the stars, dream big, reignite your ambition, absolutely. But have a plan, have a strategy. Don't just kind of hope, because beautiful quality, but it's a really poor strategy. So there's a couple for you.
I love it. And those are two very helpful factors to think about. Leadership is about bringing out the best in others, and that hope is not a strategy. It's great to have hope, but you need to have an actual concrete plan along with it. And so if you need help with that strategy, which you do, all the successful people have coaches, have mentors, and the unsuccessful people are the ones that try to figure it out themselves. So don't be another statistic. Don't be that person that fails in your business. Don't fall back into that old-time employee mindset. You know you have these dreams and these goals, and you can do a lot yourself, but you can't do it all alone, and it helps to have that coach to figure out that strategy, and Mark is your man. So there is those links in the show notes, so that way you can connect with Mr. Mark Hodgson and get to where you need to go to get this clarity, to get this confidence, and get that conviction that it then leads to. So Mark, wonderful speaking with you.
Yeah, and you, Rob. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I look forward to connecting with many of your listeners. Thanks so much for the opportunity.
All right.